Welcome to the A to Z podcast. We're your hosts, Amber Long
and Zachary Birdsong.
And today we are talking about how to make friends and keep them. No, just make them. Mm-hmm. If you lose them, that's your fault. There's this quote that I heard. It used to come on Disney Channel all the time, and it was for like Pooh and Friends or Winnie the Pooh show or whatever, and it was always Christopher Robin, and he was always saying, to make a friend, you gotta be a friend. I always thought that was really interesting.
In what way?
That there's this idea of like part of friendship is this kind of openness and disposition towards being a friend. You know, like there's like almost like attraction. Like sometimes when I'll talk to people, like namely my therapist, she'll talk about how like sometimes if you don't get a lot of attention, like from romantic interest or whatever, it's because generally you're sending this signal to people that you're not looking for a relationship. You're not interested in it. And that is probably by like how you dress or like
if you're coming off as like broody a little bit.
Yeah, or like standoffish or like how quickly you're moving through a space. Like if you look like you're just trying to, you know, get in and get out, then someone's probably not going to come up and talk to you because they don't want to bother you.
Right.
You look busy. Or like if you go to a bar and you just wear like regular clothes versus like, we were talking about this the other day, like peacocking, so to speak. And so like the idea that there's some level of that in friendship, I feel like is kind of interesting. And like, I wonder if through talking about this, we'll kind of understand what it means to be like an attractive friend. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and what I think makes that hard too is that usually most people are going to come off as like, I guess, standoffish if they're alone. Because you're either looking at your phone, or if you're reading a book and someone knows the book, that's different. If you're doing an activity, right, that others can relate to or have a shared interest in, and you're doing that alone, then that can spark conversation. But if you're standing there and you're just like hand in your pockets looking around, or if you're looking at your phone or doing something like that, it doesn't invite as much, you know, conversation. But then when you're in like a group of people, you can really come off as like very magnetic depending on how you're talking amongst them. But then you're in a group, so it's more difficult for someone to feel confident enough to come up and try to, you know, talk with you or everyone in the group if everyone seems, you know, chill or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, so the way I was kind of thinking about this was, in order to make friends, I think the first step is to kind of solidify your identity. As well as you can, you know, as long as it's like a relatively stable sense of self and interest. Because with that in mind, with what we just said, if you don't know really what you're interested in or like what you're about, then you can't really showcase that to people in a way where it grabs their attention, right? Because you could still be out there in the world, you could still showcase yourself and go to events and whatever, but if you're not showing anything that people can relate to, then you're not going to have as much of an opportunity for a conversation to strike up, essentially, because that's really what you need. Yeah, you need something that people can gravitate towards. Yeah,
like, and to the point about like the book, that if somebody really likes a book or they're like, oh, I heard about that book, like, do you like it or whatever, that is like an easy way. And that also signals to a person like you're either a student or you just like to read. So then maybe we're kindred spirits because we both like to read. Or
I like stickers a lot too, whether it's on like water bottles or electronic devices or whatever. Like stickers are a good way to just let people know like, hey, this is what I'm about, this is what I think, this is what I believe in, yada yada.
A good source of small talk too.
Yep.
I think like I feel like that's what people do with like band tees.
Oh, yes.
Band t-shirts.
That's a good
or like
example.
Concert t-shirts or whatever. Yeah. I definitely, or like whenever I'm going to a place and I'm like hoping that I will maybe not make friends, but I'm open to like having conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
I always wear this like dinosaur shirt that I've had literally forever, and it looks old as heck, but it's the one shirt that I own that almost always
Gets commented on or something.
commented on in Garner's conversation with people. So, yeah. So
you're like, let me save this for special occasions. I'm going out here. I'd like to get attention. Let's see who I can rack up and have someone talk to.
yeah, like certain spaces, or like I wear less now because I'm almost 30. And so it's a little weird to wear like a cut off dinosaur shirt from Forever 21 from when I was 14.
I disagree.
Basically. Well, yeah, okay.
But that's also
But we're friends.
But wouldn't
so-
that also be the kind of people, because if you like it, and if you like that it has that effect, then wouldn't that just be what garners the attention of people you would see as like-minded?
Sometimes, but I also look young. And so if I'm wearing a dinosaur shirt, I feel like I look like I'm younger than I am.
Well, you just got to wear a hat that says like I'm almost 30 or
old.
something like that. Yeah.
I'll wear like maybe if I wear that dinosaur shirt and then like a Rugrats hat, people would be like, okay, I think I can place her as having
Age
been born
bracket,
in
yeah.
the 90s.
Okay, that's fair. Because at first I was like, that's a baby show.
No,
I don't know if that
it's a
necessarily helps.
cartoon. It's not a
but
baby show.
It's a show about babies.
babies.
Baby show.
But it was like a kid show.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
But that goes into solidifying your identity, and then being authentic with that, because you can have it identified, but if you're not putting it out there, then you're not being authentic, right? For yourself in public. You're not being open about it. If you're too nervous or shy to the point to where you're withholding your personality or interest and likes to such an extent that people aren't able to pick up on something from you, then that's going to make it more difficult.
Do you think... I would think that being nervous or being shy is a part of... If that's a part of your personality.
It can be what draws people in, but you need something that...
That draws people in, but you're
keeps them
being
around.
authentic.
Yeah, yes, but it's to say that you need... Oh, man, there's like a word for it for... Shoot, what would it be? Not like a spark, but you need some... Well, I guess a spark, in that a spark is what initiates the fire. You need something that initiates the interaction. Being if you're just shy and nothing's going to come from that. You can be shy and that can be part of your authentic self, but you need to have something that initiates contact, right? Mm-hmm. You need some type of driving force.
So that's my next question about shyness, which I think gets into something we've talked about before.
Because it can be endearing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Shyness can be endearing, but also, do you feel like, because you can be kind of shy in certain situations, but in certain situations you're not. So thinking about the authenticity part, do you think that shyness is a personality characteristic that tells you less about, like, oh, this is a shy person, or this space is not your space, and that for you to really be authentic, you have to, and therefore potentially find your friends, your people, you have to just show up in the spaces that don't make you feel shy?
I think it's more the first. It's more just about being shy. I think the space can change things, but it's not about the space as much as it is your perception of your influence in that space. So let's say that like you really love doing yoga and you're, relatively okay at it, but you show up to a new yoga place to start doing it with people there. You're going to be shy at first, versus if you've been there for a while, and let's say for some reason, like half the group leaves, and then, you have a good half of new people, come in, you're probably not going to be too shy if you've already been there, know half the people, and you're really good at it. You have some level of like authority, kind
Yoga?
of. Yeah. Just as an example.
Oh. No, it just
What do you, what do you mean?
I was with you till you're like, you're good at it. And in my mind, I'm like, would you ever like...
You look up to people. If you're going to a yoga
do.
class, you look up to people who are able to be flexible and do things that you can't do. You're like, wow, they practice this a lot, or they really get into it. And so you're like, oh, what can I do to get better at this, or what can I do to reach the ability for this pose? What are the steps to get to this pose? When we
have different feelings
about yoga. Okay,
well,
that's
just
besides
like in a
the point.
workout class, because I think when I'm sometimes. If you're but that's me. That's why I'm like, because when I'm in like a exercise space, that would make like I would maybe look up to them, but I may also feel competitive towards them, and then it may make me. That may or may not make me want to be their friend.
Oh,
they may or not my class nemesis.
Well, but in terms of
which there's a friendship in nemesis.
There's something there. Maybe that's another category that I didn't put down here that we'll get into. But
frenemies.
But we're talking about that not the person perceiving that individual, but that the individual
who is good.
Like the difference. So to differentiate like spaces in which a person will feel less shy versus more shy, I think is dependent on, because if you're just generally a shy person, you're just going to be shy in general unless you've gotten to know the group of people you're around, or you feel confident in the activity that you're performing and you generally are maybe acquainted with the people that are there, right? Because you don't have to, because then the factor of being shy about not being as good at the thing is taken away, which can be a big factor for most people if it's like an activity-based engagement or activity or whatever that you're involved in, right? So I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's a mixture of the general shyness and the situation. So I wouldn't say like go out and find something that you just don't feel shy right off the bat, because let's say you're really interested in doing music, but you haven't put a lot of time into it yet, but you would like to start doing it with other people. You shouldn't wait until you get good at it to not feel as shy doing it with others, right? You should probably, you can go out and start doing it with people and get used to that experience so that you can progress faster and everything. So that's what I would recommend, I think, in those situations. Did I answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
You said a lot of words, so
I did.
I feel like you did.
Okay.
Comment below. Did Zach answer my question?
Yeah. What was the question?
I think you did.
But that goes into like, so you got the identity, you got the authenticity, and then there's the networking, which is kind of what we're talking about now, in sense of consistently going to planned events that generally have the same people, whether it's like a class or church, like whatever it may be. As long as you consistently show up and you keep getting around these same group of people, you're going to become more and more acquainted with them, and you're going to find more similarities over time and create stronger bonds as that continues to happen. So consistency, and that's really just like, the more you think about anything, consistency is just like the key to it's the key to life. Yeah, really. That's
an interesting. The way you're explaining networking, because I always think about that in the corporate, in the business, professional way, but I never thought about it in the sense of like, even in that sense, the purpose of networking is to integrate yourself within a community.
Yep.
Which I think they should frame it that way.
To carve out your space.
Yeah, I think it would make it sound less opportunistic. I mean, and inherently it is. And so is what you're talking about, like exposing yourself, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
It just sometimes gets like a negative connotation, but that is an interesting way to think about it. Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay. And I guess this goes into it, but I had down the thought of like time commitment, which is part of just that consistency. Because making friends requires continued interaction. And I think this is where we can get into like, I called it like the friend progression, and it looks like there's 8, I guess, but maybe with nemesis, if you don't think it falls under any one of these, we can add that in somewhere.
/frenemy.
/frenemy. That might be, well, we'll see. Okay. Yeah. So for the friend progression, number 1 is just stranger.
The birdsong friend progression.
Yeah, the birdsong friend progression. A stranger's just a person unknown to you. I'd give you an example, but I can't. Do you get it? Do you? All right. Number 2 is just a contact, because I didn't want to go straight into acquaintance, because I feel like contacts is like a someone that you are aware of, you know about their existence, right? But you have limited interaction with and feel neutral or even negatively towards them. Because I feel like if they're a person that you're somewhat aware of, have limited interaction with, and you feel positively towards them, that's when you get more into the acquaintance realm, right? And that's like, so I think I define that specifically as like a person you are familiar and on good terms with, enjoying their company but with limited interaction, confined to shared context. So yeah. It's like whatever kind of like, but it's still very limited, right? You're not seeking them out necessarily in those contexts. You just happen to interact with them, and it's pleasant, and that's the end of it, right?
Yeah, that's where in that book, The Defining Decade, the author says that most people, which is a whole other topic, but most people find their future jobs, or sometimes even I think she was saying sometimes even like your partners or whatever, but you progress professionally through your acquaintances network. Yeah.
I was just about to use the word networking there for that too, because that is where, like, if you go to a conference or whatever, you'll meet people from within the same industry but at different places that you both vibe. They like you like them. You're talking about things within the industry. They like your thoughts or whatever it may be. And so you may ask them later on, like, hey, are you aware of anything? And they're like, oh, yeah, I like this person, so I'll recommend these things. I'm aware of these kinds of positions or whatever that's available. So, and then there's the contextual friend, which is a person you are familiar and on good terms with, same with the acquaintance, enjoying their company with consistent interaction, confined to shared context. So this is more consistent, right? You may actually seek out conversation or something with them, and so this might be like a work friend or a gym buddy or something like that.
Yeah.
If you just go to the gym every once in a, or let's just say consistently, and there's this person there every time you go, and you may just do like a wave or whatever just because you see them so much, but you don't really talk, or you do a little bit, that's more of that acquaintance. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to the gym, are you going at this time still? And they're like, no, I'll be an hour late. And they're like, all right, I'll show up an hour late too, or something like that. You're more of like a gym, you're a contextual friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's just regular friend, and that's a person you are familiar and resonate with. Instead of just being on good terms with you resonate with them. You enjoy their company with consistent interaction, and that's not confined to shared context.
Resonate as in there's something about
there's something that there's a bit more of an extra spark, to such an extent that
you're attracted to them. Platonic.
I was about to put that caveat on there as well, but like to such an extent where you're like, I'd like to chill with this person outside of work or outside of the gym. There's something here. I really enjoy my time with this person.
Isn't that so weird to like feel that with a friend? Not like weird, but like it's so interesting how that feeling can show up across relationships.
Right, because it just depends. Because you can have that kind of. There's just a lot of variables at play that may just stop that from progressing to that level, from the contextual friend to the friend. Yeah, they move away. I'm trying to think of another example that would stop. Just mindset about how relationships in that context work too,
Yeah.
right?
Some people don't, like, they want to keep their friendships contextual.
Right.
Versus having it be like, oh, no, you're
just
my
a
friend.
friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's best friend. And best friend is a person you believe to fully know relatively well and resonate with, which allows for a strong bond to develop. And then these are like the friends that you could probably not speak with for months or however long and just kind of pick up where you left off, right? They meet that kind of criteria where it's just like, oh, yeah, you know, you have that banter or whatever it is that allows you to just kind of continue on like there wasn't ever any gap. And usually that only happens, though, when someone does like move off or something where that gap seems to take place.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're still within the same area and you're best friends, you're probably just going to continue to keep up interaction and stuff.
Yeah. I guess the fully know.
Well, and that's why I said, or well
bond.
enough. Yeah. You kind of have to have those things, I would think.
Do you think that that's like where you're talking about that time and commitment comes in, is like there is some level of like an obligation to that other person beyond just like, hey, do you want to hang out? Like there's
I think
there's
so.
more of like a
I think in the back of your mind you might be thinking like the amount of time I've spent with this person like just can't go to waste, and not in a way where you're just like, you know, because I kind of I agree with the term. What did you say with the term of obligation? I agree with that, but I also, for some reason, it has like a negative connotation in my head because I don't want to say that people feel commitment, because you can choose commitment, but obligation feels more like it's an external force that's placed on you.
Not if you're like, I'm obliged.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If that's
make it girly pop.
Yeah, okay, we'll make it girly pop. But yeah. So I agree with that. But that is where the time commitment really comes into play. You know, you put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's not always about, you know, having these high levels of engagement between each other. It also includes just like being out in the world or doing things side by side and just really getting to know like what makes them tick or what makes them, the unspoken things, right? Is what I would say.
Interesting explanation of a best friend.
Yeah. I think that's when it starts to reach that, because then you know, you're like, oh, I need to, you know, I can tell they're feeling this kind of way. I need to do this, or, I need to ask if, you know, they're okay, or, they're not, you know, whatever. Just kind of knowing those nuances about the person. Anything to add?
No, I just never thought about best friendship that way, but that's because I'm so much more cynical than you are.
Well, do you disagree then, or is it just something that you didn't think about?
I think that friendship or best friendship, you know, I've had an issue with that term for a while, and I think it's because there's a level of like possessiveness that I always felt came with it.
Because of the well, and that's the thing too. I don't agree with the idea that best friend is limited to one. Yeah. I think that you can have multiple best friends. It's just a general category to show that closeness, because you may think like, well, because you are a very observant person. So you may be like, well, you could be on the friend level and I still know what's making you tick when you might need certain things or whatever. But if you don't meet that other criteria of feeling like you fully know and really resonate with them, then they can still be at the friend level, and you may still just know what ticks. You know what really can differentiate a friend and a best friend for me is, do you have the ability to have and work through conflict with that person? With your friends, there's so much more sometimes, like for a good time call, that you don't, if they're annoying you or whatever, you'll just be like, I'm just not going to see her for a while, or we're just going to keep it
all laughs.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to get into anything
serious
personal.
right.
Yeah, but then when you're getting into, like, and even I would say that's kind of more actually of a contextual friend. When you get into your friendships, there should be, like, a knowingness about each other's lives.
Yes.
Or like a familiarity with each other's personalities, like you're talking about. Maybe even you're aware of each other's, like, siblings' names and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But
the openness of kind of like what too has made you kind of you.
Yeah.
And that understanding.
Yeah.
As well.
But when you're because a best friend to me is almost like at the level of, like, when someone's your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Like, we are now in this relationship where, like, you know, my sense of happiness is maybe even tied to your sense of happiness. Like, you can have a genuine effect on me. And if there's something that is probably because of the amount of time that we spend together, if there's some sort of rub between us, like, we should fix this. Like, we're not just going to sweep it under the rug, but we're going to do what we can to resolve this issue so we can continue on in relationship with each other.
Right.
That's how I always kind of see best friends. It's like they're the people you're willing to fight with and know that you can fight with them, and there's no love lost.
Right. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Not that it should be defined by negativity, but
no, but that is important. It's a positive thing to be able to get through conflict with people. And then there's, like, the honorary family member, and that's a person you believe to fully know and resonate with to a high degree, and these friends feel like family with bonds that feel as though almost destiny itself intended for you to meet them.
Wow,
I would say
that was very poetic.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I did not read that last line.
The last sentence. Because I needed a way to differentiate those from the best friend, and I was like, well, that feels kind of right, you know.
I would say, like, the honorary family member at that point is, like, you invite them to your family functions. Like, you get into that with a best friend territory. But, like, if my mom and dad have, like, an anniversary party,
oh yeah, right,
then I would invite you because I feel like you're an extension of our family. That's
right,
another way to frame it.
Yeah,
yours is very
agree with
beautiful.
Yeah. And then the last one, which I think this makes sense, and this one is the only one, and the reason I put it there is because I was thinking about it and I was like, it's spouse, and usually depends, I guess, on, like, if you're polyamorous or in a different cultural context.
I have no frame of reference for any of it because I am unwed.
Well, but you understand. You know, like, typically there's only one of these. You may have one spouse may die. Yes, exactly. One spouse may die or something, but usually you just have one at a time. And so they've reached, like, this pinnacle level where you are living with them every day, and you're spending a large amount of your time with them, more than anyone else at this point. They are the person you have chosen not just to be an honorary family member, but an actual family member, wherein you may then end up creating your own family with them. So that just reaches, like, that's like the final frontier, I would say, of any kind of, you know, friendship. Yeah, deciding that they are worthy enough for you to spend the rest of your daily life with.
So I think it's interesting you put a spouse on a friend list, because
they start out as that. Even if you're just in a relationship, even if you start out, like, kind of dating and they're not really a friend, you're still kind of getting to know them. But, like, you know, a spouse will start off as a stranger, and then you see them, you talk to them a little bit, they become, and they may skip contact fairly quickly depending on how that initial interaction goes. Maybe it goes straight to kind of like, but I almost feel like an acquaintance, at that first meeting, they're a contact. If you sat down, you had like a 2-hour discussion with them, they're a contact, because acquaintance, you need some more consistency past just the initial interaction. So then they get to...
So when you're dating, it's like an acquaintance.
Yeah, when you're dating, it's like an acquaintance.
Dating before you get into an official relationship. That's what I mean. When you're going on dates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when it kind of becomes like contextual friend to friend very quickly, I would say. Because you're just like, you're dating, you're going out and doing all these different things together. The context is that you're dating. It's kind of like within itself, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you get to the point of like thinking, oh man, this might actually be something, is when you start getting to like best friend and honorary family member territories, when you start thinking about marriage, probably. And then you get to spouse, when you're finally like, okay, I'm ready to settle down with this person. This is my person. The only reason, but that's the reason I put it there, was because they go through this same progression. They're just the only ones that usually make it to that final spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I like that in your framework, you did not like specify any like you're kind of outlining, like, I guess you would say like the nature, but it's not specific. You're not like, therefore you must.
Right, yeah. And it's not necessarily like
to work every day with this person.
Yeah. It's not like an action-oriented thing. It's more of just like a how you feel and how you're both oriented towards, each other kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a very natural, because it's not intended to, because friendship can look very different depending on the people you're talking about. And so it really just is about your consistency of interactions with them and how you feel being around them, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever looked up one day and found yourself in a friendship unbeknownst to you?
Unbeknownst? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Unbeknownst to me. I don't think so, because I feel like maybe acquaintance, where it just flowed naturally enough where I was like, oh, I guess I could say, these are acquaintances to me. But once they start getting to that territory of friendship, my mind has already caught on to the pattern, I would say. And so it's already been kind of aware to me that it's going in that direction before it gets to that spot where I'm like, okay, I think I can call it this. Has it been like that unbeknownst to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because do you not like thinking about it usually in categories like this? Because I thought that maybe you wouldn't like this, because I didn't know if you would see this as maybe more of a tiered kind of system, which it is in a way, but not in a way to categorize by. Oh, well, there you go. I
love a category. Don't threaten me with a good time. I love a framework. And I, to the point where when I was a kid, I had very clear definitions of who people were to me.
It's just so much fun.
It is not when you start telling people.
Oh, well, no, you got to keep it to yourself. You got to keep that to yourself.
It's offensive.
Yeah. Well, because it's only really offensive when they placed you higher on your own tier list than you placed them.
Yeah. But no, I think sometimes I slip into friendships in the sense of like, I will just not think about it sometimes with people. And sometimes I legit, like, I'm just not even, like, I'm just so going through the motions that I'm like, oh, I guess we're friends now. That more so happened when I was younger, though.
But you're like, oh, they asked me to go out somewhere with them. I guess we're I guess we're friends.
Yeah, like I think that actually happens to me more often than I realize.
Well, you know what?
I'm not very intentional all the time about, because I find the intentionality of being like, I'm gonna make this person my friend, or I would really like to be friends with this person.
It can be
like
scary.
An expectation that I find it difficult to have in my mind and manage. I think I have to like hide from myself sometimes what I'm experiencing and what I'm doing.
Well, and that is putting yourself out there to possibly get platonically rejected.
Yes.
So.
And I will be platonically heartbroken, so I can't platonically speaking.
But that's a big piece of this though, in making friends. And I mean, like but that's where a lot of like introverts and extroverts can make good friendships.
Yeah, they make great friends.
The one, because then that just means that you just need the other person to say, "Hey, let's go and do this," and you'll say okay, but you won't be the one usually to recommend your own outings.
Yes. But the hard part sometimes about introvert and extrovert friendships, I feel, as somebody who tends to be on the more... There was a period of time where I was kind of like the omnivert type of person. But whenever I am more of an introvert, if I have a lot of extroverted friends, specifically once we get into the best friend territory or whatever, I have a hard time when people have a lot of people in their life understanding how they start to place importance on people. Because I'm like, you have so many people, how do you even know? Do you even feel anything about them? Or they're just people you're spending your time with. And so you have 50 friends, Like, my dad's kind of like that, where there's one time I was like, do you even like all the people you're friends with? And he, like, had not thought about it before. I assume the answer is yes.
And he starts making a list. He's like, well, let's see. He lists off the 50 people. He starts putting give him this tier list.
Yeah, I'll be like, he'll be like, Amber, no, I'm not doing that. Just live your life.
A lot of them, though, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them just fit in like that contextual friend category where it's like, oh, well, we just play golf together, or something like that.
Men are really good. They have some pretty robust contextual friendship networks.
I think the gym too is another good example of that.
And that's what
gym bros.
The beauty of, I think, sports for a lot of guys is that it gives them all these different networks that they can bop into throughout the year.
I think there's more established networking opportunities for men than there are for women.
Yeah. Because, like, it very rarely are you, like, going to go get your nails done and then talk to the same person. You may become contextual friends with the person who's doing your nails because you're always going to go back to that person.
Yep.
And then the service is the nature of the friendship.
Or if you enroll in a pregnancy baby class.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That's true. Then you probably will walk away with some friends.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for mom friends.
And you might be in like the same, along the same way too, like 8 months in well, maybe you're doing it sooner than that, but you know what I mean. Waiting until the 8th month to take a series of baby classes.
I think you can take a baby class at any time.
You can, but I'm thinking of like a series of.
You can still go.
What did I do wrong? This kid sucks. But yeah, I do think there's a lot more opportunities for men than for women with that. But I've always kind of, when I've thought about people trying to find, and I guess this is within the through the lens of, my interests and stuff too, and the kind of disposition of people that I would like. But it seems like libraries are like could be a good place to meet people. Well, because like you're if you're just in the same section looking at similar books or something, and you see them grab something, and you're like, oh yeah, you could say, I've read that book. You could strike up a conversation. Sometimes people choose or elect to sit down in one of the chairs. They have one of many chairs, usually in libraries, to sit down and take a little gander at the book real quick before you decide to purchase it. You were looking at me very strangely.
Has this ever happened to you?
No, because I don't have...
Have you ever heard of this happening outside of a book?
I haven't even read it in a book.
That's why I'm like, where are you getting
opportunity?
this
The opportunity is there.
Like a cafe. More.
There are
like
many.
A
There are many cafes in a library.
There's usually only one.
Well, I mean, that was to say that there are many libraries wherein you can find a cafe.
Roger don't have one.
Not the public library, usually.
What other libraries are people going to?
Oh, bookstores.
Oh!
My bad.
That's a completely different place.
It's pretty similar. No. I would almost say that it's easier to find people at libraries because a lot of them may be like college-oriented, you know?
Maybe. I've never made friends in a Barnes & Noble.
You'd never... If someone picked out a book you just read, or if someone struck up a conversation with you and they were like, oh, I just read that book. I loved it. It's about this. What are you into? And just started talking to you, you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't.
I mean, I would talk to them, but I just don't see that happening because I feel like a lot of people who go to bookstores are not the type of people to do that.
Oh, well, maybe.
This sounds like a conversation you're going to have with the person who's checking you out. Not checking you out, but like checking the book out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Possibly. There you go. At the bookstore.
Your favorite bookseller's now your friend.
Yeah.
No. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
The opportunity's there.
I'm not, in this world, someone met their best friend.
At a bookstore or library.
At a bookstore.
I'm not saying this.
Two friends bookstore.
I'm not saying this happens regularly. I'm saying I think I could find like-minded people at a bookstore.
Do you think you could find like-minded people at a GameStop?
Probably not as much. Because I'm not hyper. There's like maybe one or two games that I play regularly.
Store.
No, what? No, definitely not. You think you'd find someone that?
I don't know. I'm asking now.
Well, I'm asking you.
Great places to make friends.
Great places to make friends. Yeah, let's go through it. Hold up. A bookstore is not obscure.
A bookstore.
That is not obscure. A coffee store. I think actually it'd be harder at a some people say grocery stores.
No,
I'm like, what? Because they think that the orange you're
grocery store? Okay, put that on the obscure list.
Okay,
grocery
maybe
store,
this is a
fruit
list.
Aisle.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand that because then it's like, what? You really like this specific type of apple? I mean, you feel very strongly about apples, so maybe that could be the case for you.
We're not going to start talking about it, though.
I wasn't going to get into the specifics. I was just saying.
You know where you can make a friend? Genuinely, an airplane. Remember that time I was on that airplane going to Minnesota? I told you about it, and she was like, here's my number. If you need a coat, you can come to my house. I'll give you one.
Yeah, no, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I know. I didn't text her back, but I do have a number.
But you know what, though? A lot of it just depends on, too, being kind of lucky in the moment, especially if it's not a recurring thing.
Well, you might be on the same flight there and back.
You might be, Amber.
Or, you know what's very common here.
Talking about obscure.
When you're flying, let's say, I bet if you're in the vendor community or you work for Walmart or something, you guys got to travel for work a lot. If you got to go to the same places, you're probably going to see somebody on the plane
there's
more than once.
Yeah, there's a knot that ties them together for consistency. Yes.
Boom,
yes.
Bam.
But I give more, please, besides the airplane, because it sounds like
a good one. You've just not been on the plane enough.
I've been on a plane like 6 times.
That's not enough to make friends. You need to be on there a lot.
I've never seen one person more than once on a plane.
Remember, I literally was on a plane, and I saw that lady reading that book about transportation. Yeah. I said, are you into urban planning? She said, no, I'm in a book club, that Two Friends book club. I said, oh, I'm an urban planner. Get off the plane. She looked me up, mailed me the book. Remember that?
I do remember that, Amber.
Yeah.
Can I tell you?
Airplanes, man. My best friend, Lauren, one of my good friends, Lauren, and her husband met on an airplane.
Okay, but you're telling me.
Take more flights is what I'm saying.
You're telling me you would see some person reading a book on a plane and say something there, but neglect to talk to somebody you see picking out a book at a bookstore?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Because it's the culture of the plane to talk to people.
What are you talking about?
It's totally normal to be like, oh yeah. Like, there was another time I was on a plane. I was talking to a guy, works at Walmart, made his way up through the store into corporate Walmart. Now he makes good money, has to travel a lot for work though, has some horses. I learned all that on the plane. No.
I mean, I did. The person beside me, when we went through some turbulence one time on a plane, I talked with her a little bit, had a good conversation. She told me not to worry. She's been through worse. This is nothing, she said. I was like, gosh dang, I'd be scared to go through what you went through. Then she said, lightning the works.
You know what?
I didn't get her number though,
too?
but that's because
honorary family member. There was one time I was on a plane and there was crazy turbulence, and I was like, "Am I going to die on this plane?" And the lady next to me grabbed my knee. It was that scary in that moment.
And you let it. You were like,
bonded.
"This is fair.
Yes.
This is allowable."
Make your friends on planes.
That's okay, but that's fair because you could be sitting beside the same person for several hours depending on how long your flight is. But when you mentioned this example,
sleep together.
Okay. When you mentioned the book person, were you sitting beside them, or did you just happen to walk by as they were sitting?
She was across the aisle from me. Yeah.
Across the aisle. Okay.
I was at the end seat. She was at the end seat.
What this sounds like to me is that we just need to normalize people talking to each other more, because that used to be the case. Mm-hmm. But now people are just like doing their own thing, because that's what I mean by looking standoffish if you're looking at your phone. I think that if you choose to be doing something out in public, like reading or looking at a book or picking up or whatever, you're allowing for there to be some level of like somebody saying, "Oh, hey, I like that too."
But you know why and then I'll drop it. But you know why the plane is special as opposed to even like a train, or you can make friends on a cruise. I've definitely done that.
You could do it on a train too.
But you can too. But I want to state for the plane.
For the plane, it's in the air. It's life or death.
Yes, it's scary. Mm-hmm. And there's something about needing to get over the nerves of being on a plane that makes you want to talk to other people.
Hear that, everybody? Go skydiving.
Alcohol,
do death-related.
Which is going to open you up even more to talking to people.
Alcohol?
Yeah, you can buy alcohol on the plane.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right.
And some people do it specifically because they're so scared.
Yeah, right.
And so all I'm saying is don't miss your opportunity to meet the friend of a lifetime on your next flight.
Yeah, everybody, please purchase tickets right now. Right now.
No, I'm not going to
get on that plane.
But I'm just saying, be open to the experience. Transport in groups more.
Yeah.
Transit. Mm-hmm. Buses, planes, trains, boats.
But I do feel buses are a little bit different just because more used.
But that's one of those things where you're going to see people. If you use the bus,
if you do it regularly, if you do it regularly, if you're like a visitor to a city and you're getting on the bus, probably not as much. But if you're using it regularly at certain times of the day, then yeah, that's another opportunity to find people.
Or if you take the bus during a concert series, when we take the bus to Lollapalooza, I didn't see the same people, but I did see people who were interesting who you may talk to.
Right. Well, and that's because they're in those situations.
Intoxicated.
Intoxicated. But even if they're not, though, they're still in the atmosphere. The vibe is the allowance of authenticity.
Yeah,
it's be who you want to be. There's no real judgment here.
Like fairy wings and tutus and a lot of fishnets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They love fishnets.
They love a fishnet.
They do.
And a rainbow.
No fish in sight, but plenty of fishnets.
Like rainbow trout.
Oh, actually, maybe that's where plenty of fish in the sea Maybe that's where that comes from. All the fishnets.
All the fishnets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've cracked the code.
We cracked
That's
the code.
The fish to friendship pipeline.
Yeah, maybe we'll find that leading forward, fishnets will indicate that fish has been caught and they are no longer available.
I doubt it. I feel like people who are
yeah.
unavailable tend to wear more fishnets.
Oh, definitely.
Than people who have been hooked.
Definitely, but that would fit the metaphor better.
All right, everybody. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Don't wear fishnets unless you're
unless you're in a
part
relationship.
Of a friend group.
Or yeah.
If you have no friends, you have no business in fishnets, which is true because I feel like you're less inclined to wear fishnets when you're by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in a group, you feel safe, you feel comfortable. Fishnets.
So now people will know if you're not wearing fishnets, you need a friend.
Yeah, if you've got on regular stockings.
Go befriend them. They're lonely.
They need a friend.
They're lonely.
Because who's wearing stockings in 2026?
Mm-hmm. Not me.
Did we answer my question, I guess? To make a friend, you got to be a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Do we think Christopher Robin's telling the truth there?
I think he is. I think he is.
I think to make a friend, you got to be out there and about.
Yeah.
I was going to say outside your house, but people make friends online.
They do.
You got to put yourself out there.
You got to I think you also have to, for it to reach that next level, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but you have to be open and kind of vulnerable too with people. Because that's where you can really start to resonate with them. And I don't think you have to be. I think that you can bond over the shared preference to not be vulnerable as well. So I think it just depends on... But that's part of being your authentic self, is that you'll attract people who are similar or akin to you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think he's right. You have to be the kind of friend that you would want to have be your friend, so that you can get friends who are like you and your other friends.
Well, you know what though, Christopher Robin and Pooh and Piglet and Tigger, they were all very different people.
You know what? That's true. But that's what you bring up is also a good point though, because he was schizophrenic, because those were all imaginary.
No, he wasn't. He's a child. He has an imagination.
And well, so they were all fake. but for you know
to
what?
To make a friend, you got to make friends up.
To Christopher, yeah, that's good practice.
That's the second.
That's good practice because Christopher Robin was then able to. I mean, just what was the bunny's name? The rabbit's name?
That's a great question. I don't remember.
I don't remember
can see
either.
Him in my head.
Yeah, I know what he looks like, but I can't. But he was kind of a meanie bobini.
He was uptight.
Yeah. So by Christopher Robin's imagining him as a friend, he will now be able to proceed.
Deal with uptight people.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and lackadaisical people.
Right, because
and
of Pooh
anxious
and
people.
Piglet.
And hyper people.
Mm-hmm. And depressed people, Eeyore.
And depressed people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To make a friend, you have to accept people for who they are.
I wonder if all of those were just like different portions that
of
Christopher
himself?
Robin was bottling up.
Probably.
And manifesting in the form of animalistic people.
Maybe, and that's why Pooh was his like best friend.
He was his happy,
because he's just like, whatever, man. Yeah. Honey pots.
Wow.
Let's
Christopher
do an
Robin's.
episode on the psychology of children's shows.
Yeah, we need to break that down. That's interesting, actually. But he was right. And if you have children, let them have imaginary friends.
Yeah, it's good practice.
It is good practice. Yeah.
That's it, y'all. This has been an episode of the A to C podcast. Like, share, subscribe, comment about your friends in the comments. Send this to a friend.
Let them know which tier position they're in.
Yeah, make a list of all your friends and put them in categories. They'll love it.
They'll eat it up.
Invite them to a party and seat them all in proximity to you based on where they are positioned in your chart. Yeah. So anyway, thanks so much.
Farewell, everybody.